R. Kelly didn't just fall from grace, he landed in a prison system that, according to his lawyers, seems determined to slowly take his life.
These are people who seek to kill Mr. Kelly.
Word is, R. Kelly got attacked behind bars again, and the way it happened, it's clear someone inside wants him permanently gone.
They say that R. Kelly woke up allegedly on June 13th and he felt faint, he was dizzy, he started to see black spots, he got up and he fell.
Let's break it all down. The so-called hit squad gets exposed. It starts with a man whose clock was ticking faster than a corner store timer, Michael Glenn Stein, a terminally ill cancer patient and top shot caller for the Aryan Brotherhood. Locked up since 1982 for murder, Stein built his name as one of the most feared inmates in the federal system, even threatening to attack and kill federal officials back in 2015.
In two documents that R. Kelly's legal team just filed, they are alleging that there is a man, last name Stein, who is a gang leader, a big gang leader, and that he has provided a sworn statement to them that prison officials offered him his freedom to spend his last days free if he would allegedly kill R.
Then, in February 2023, while he was locked up at a supermax in Colorado, Stein claimed something unprecedented happened. In a sworn statement from May 19, 2025, he said a Bureau of Prisons official named Ray Childress approached him, the same guy who had already pushed him to order assaults and murders on other inmates. This wasn't new for them. For over 13 years, Stein said he'd been doing dirty work for BOP officials in exchange for perks, no cell raids and freedom to move contraband.
There was an inmate that came forward before, and that stated that he was hired to kill R. Kelly. I don't know if you heard about that. Yeah. I never believed it.
But that February meeting was different. Childress showed up unannounced with Warden Gutierrez and Associate Warden Stangl. No guards around, which screamed that something serious was going down. Knowing Stein was terminal, Childress offered a deal straight out of hell. Transfer to FCI Butner in North Carolina, where R. Kelly was serving time, and take him out. In return, Stein would catch the body but never face conviction, since the evidence would mysteriously disappear.
The way that this man says that this was supposed to go down is that he was supposed to kill R. Kelly, allegedly, and then he would get charged for it, and then he alleges that prison officials were going to fumble the evidence and ultimately bury the case. They would then allegedly transfer him to another location where he would be allowed to escape and stay free.
It's just him. It's a few people that when they got these long cases, suddenly they all got plots to murder them and they all want to get out forever.
According to Stein's affidavit, the motive was tied to Kelly's legal battles. Childress called Kelly a rapist who preyed on white girls, someone the Aryan Brotherhood would naturally target. But the real reason, he said, was that Kelly's attorneys were preparing to expose damaging info that could ruin top BOP and DOJ officials. Kelly was being framed as a direct threat to the Bureau itself.
Police team is saying that all this is happening because they've been investigating whether R. Kelly's rights were violated throughout the process of his trials, and that they're alleging they recovered some information that they were, and that this information was going to come out. So this is a response allegedly.
That supposed exposure involved misconduct from Kelly's investigation, things like illegal wiretaps on private lawyer calls and outright obstruction of justice. His lawyers claimed those recordings were passed to prosecutors to pressure witnesses, including ex-girlfriend Osrielle Clary, to testify against him, leading to his convictions.
These two witnesses, according to these documents, and according to R. Kelly's legal team, were flipped on R. Kelly based on this in-house informant. This in-house informant by the government allegedly went to Adrielle Clary, went to LaShonda, showed Adrielle Clary some communications that R. Kelly emails, phone calls with another woman outside of Adrielle, because y'all know she was dating R. Kelly.
Yeah.
And they allege that because of the communications that were shown, he then influenced her to be the government's key witness.
It's just him. It's a few people that when they got these long cases, suddenly they all got plots to murder them and they all want to get out.
Stein, who openly admits to having blood on his hands from years back, initially signed on. The transfer happened fast. He was moved from Arizona to FCI Butner on October 17, 2023, first placed in the medical unit until March 2025, then shifted to Kelly's block. As soon as he arrived, some suit reminded him, "You came here for a reason, handle it." For weeks Stein lurked, shadowing Kelly's routine, mapping weaknesses and waiting for a clean opportunity. Housed on the same block, he had near constant access to Kelly's movements and vulnerabilities. But as the days passed, something unexpected hit this hardened killer. A dying man reflecting on a violent life, Stein said he had a change of heart. Instead of carrying out the hit on April 11, 2025, he did the opposite. Stein walked up to Kelly and told him the whole truth, that he'd been sent to kill him, who sent him, and how the plan would go down, warning that Kelly's life was in immediate danger. The revelation must have been terrifying. The guy trailing him for weeks was actually supposed to be his executioner. But Stein flipping sides created a new problem for the alleged conspirators. Now two people, target and hitman, knew about the plot. Stein said time was critical and offered to take a lie detector, testify in court, and name witnesses to back up his claims of BOP-directed violence.
He will take a lie detector test, and he will testify if he has.
Stein framed his decision as redemption, exposing decades of alleged BOP corruption rather than committing another murder. Lieutenant Teague, according to Stein, kept pressuring him to finish the job, but the terminal inmate refused. That refusal made both men even more vulnerable. The plot escalated on June 6, 2025, when Kelly's lawyers learned a second Aryan Brotherhood member at FCI Butner had been approached by Lieutenant Teague to kill both Kelly and Stein. The recruit named in that revelation was David Keith Harris, another AB member expected to carry out hits without question. Harris's statement says Teague discussed specific methods, including lacing food in the chow hall and commissary with poison to execute the targets. The idea was clean. Poison could be blamed on Kelly's existing blood clot issues or explained away as an accidental overdose. Including commissary items was especially cold because it would make avoidance nearly impossible by simply skipping chow. Like Stein, Harris refused to go through with it and reported the solicitation to Kelly's attorneys. News outlets and social posts from Kelly supporters amplified the claims, naming Harris and highlighting the poisoning risk. The plot expanding to include Stein made it clear this had turned into a full-blown cleanup mission, wiping out both the original target and the witness who could blow everything open. The timing of the second approach was critical. It happened just days before Kelly's legal team filed their explosive emergency motion demanding his release. On June 10, 2025, Kelly's attorney, Bob B. Brinley, submitted the motion in federal court in Chicago, asking for Kelly's immediate transfer to home detention based on the alleged assassination plot. The filing included sworn statements from both Stein and Harris, who agreed to testify and take polygraph exams to back up their claims. It accused 3 senior BOP officials, a warden, an assistant warden, and another high-ranking figure, of masterminding the operation, though no names were revealed publicly, likely due to ongoing litigation and security concerns. The motion argued that keeping Kelly imprisoned amounted to cruel and unusual punishment under the 8th Amendment, given the immediate threat to his life. BOP records confirmed Stein's transfer from Arizona to North Carolina, lending some credibility to his account, though officials refused to comment, citing privacy and safety rules. Prosecutors with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Chicago quickly hit back, calling the claims a stunning but baseless fabrication. They said Stein's criminal background made him unreliable, dismissing the story as fanciful, fantastic, and a deeply unserious conspiracy theory meant to mislead the court.
Don't believe that these charges are true. I mean, I don't believe these women are being truthful. I don't.
But the wildest twist was still ahead. Just 2 days after the motion went public, the alleged plot took an even darker turn when Kelly found himself literally fighting for his life. The poisoning attempt, and the cover-up. The morning of June 13, 2025, started out routine for Kelly in his solitary cell at FCI Butner. He'd been placed in the hole 3 days earlier, officially for protection, though his lawyers claimed it was retaliation for exposing the murder scheme. What followed would either prove the most damning allegations ever made against the Bureau of Prisons or mark one of the boldest legal plays by a desperate inmate. Court filings read like a medical thriller. Kelly woke up dizzy, lightheaded, and seeing black spots. He tried to stand but collapsed, crawling to his door before passing out cold. Staff couldn't treat him on site, so they rushed him by ambulance to Duke University Hospital in Durham, North Carolina.
They say that Kelly woke up allegedly on June 13th and he felt faint. He was dizzy. He started to see black spots. He got up and he fell. He crawled to the door of the cell and he lost consciousness then. At that point, he was placed on a gurney.
But Kelly's lawyers insisted this wasn't just a medical scare. It was an assassination attempt. They alleged prison staff deliberately overdosed him on his prescribed anxiety and sleep meds, triggering his collapse and near-death episode. The timing, just days after the murder plot motion went public, was no coincidence, they argued. Attorney Bo Brinley said Kelly was given his regular medication while in the hole, but officers told him to take an extra dose supplied by them. The next morning, the severe symptoms hit, leaving Kelly hospitalized and clinging to life.
By ambulance to a nearby hospital because they tried to take him to the hospital inside of or associated with the facility that he's in, but they...
At Duke University Hospital, things got even more alarming. Tests allegedly showed R. Kelly had dangerously high levels of blood pressure and anxiety meds in his system, an overdose that, combined with newly discovered blood clots in both legs and lungs, put his life at serious risk. Kelly's team claimed the clots developed because the BOP took him off blood thinners despite his medical history. The finding was critical. Untreated clots can be instantly fatal. Doctors reportedly recommended a week-long hospital stay and surgery to remove them. But, according to his lawyers, that plan was shut down in what they called a cover-up. BOP officers allegedly entered Kelly's hospital room, drew their weapons, and forced his removal against medical advice, returning him to solitary confinement.
He alleges that it was overheard someone in the ambulance from the hospital say this is going to open a whole new can of worms.
The alleged cruelty of that act can't be overstated. Pulmonary embolisms, blood clots in the lungs, are among the most life-threatening medical emergencies, requiring immediate care and close monitoring. Attorney Beau Brinley said this decision left Kelly in mortal danger, since untreated clots could kill him at any moment. His legal team reacted fast. On June 16th to 17th, they updated their motion, formally accusing the BOP of intentionally overdosing Kelly as part of the broader murder conspiracy. Brinley claimed they gave him an amount of medication that could have killed him, tying the event directly to the timing, just days after the assassination allegations first surfaced.
According to R. Kelly's legal team in the first filing, and they reiterated in this one, that whole plot to uncover the fact that there were things that were done wrong when it came to, remember I talked about like the flipping of the witnesses and all these things that they're alleging happened. Basically, they're saying the government and the prison officials have been covering up the fact that they did whatever they needed to do to convict R. Kelly.
The government's response came swiftly and sharply. Prosecutors led by Assistant U.S. Attorney Jason Julian dismissed the accusations as a fantastical conspiracy that mocked Kelly's victims. They argued the court lacked jurisdiction to change his sentence and warned that granting release would set a dangerous precedent for other violent offenders. On June 20th, U.S. District Judge Martha M. Paco denied the motion, ruling she had no authority to order a furlough or home detention even under extreme conditions, and citing insufficient evidence to justify a hearing. The denial came without oral arguments, signaling that the court found the claims unconvincing. Still, the saga didn't end there. Whether these allegations were true or entirely fabricated, they exposed deep concerns about the U.S. prison system and the safety of high-profile inmates. The fact that such detailed, documented claims, complete with sworn statements, named officials, and verified transfers, could exist at all points either to an extraordinary level of corruption or an equally extraordinary act of desperation.
Asked the Bureau of Prisons about the allegations. They said they do not comment on pending litigation.
Public reaction, as reflected across news outlets and social media, was mixed but leaned heavily toward skepticism. Many saw the claims as an obvious ploy by Kelly's defense to win his release through sensational accusations that couldn't easily be disproved. Others, however, pointed to the well-documented violence against sex offenders in prison as proof that, even if officials weren't behind it, the threats facing Kelly were very real.
I don't believe that stuff.
No, I don't believe anything.
I mean, there's some documentation that,
You don't believe the man, huh? No, I don't think him. It's a few people that when they got these long cases, suddenly they all got plots to murder them and they all want to get out fast.
The prison code and street justice. To really grasp the danger R. Kelly faces behind bars, and to weigh whether these wild allegations hold any truth, you have to understand the brutal hierarchy that rules American prisons. Even among criminals, there are boundaries that can't be crossed without deadly consequences. At the very bottom of that hierarchy are those convicted of crimes against children. Kelly's charges put him squarely in that category, making him a prime target for what inmates call prison justice. The threats he faced began long before the 2025 murder plot claims, as early as August 26, 2020, while Kelly was awaiting trial at Chicago's Metropolitan Correctional Center. The attack happened around 9:45 a.m., when inmate Jeremiah Shane Farmer slipped away from a prison employee and entered Kelly's cell. Farmer, a Latin Kings gang member covered in tattoos, including teardrops representing murders, had a violent past, linked to the 1999 hammer killings of two businessmen, Marion Lowry and Harvey Seeger. Farmer pounced while Kelly was sleeping on the lower bunk, beating him in the head and torso until an officer intervened. When Farmer ignored orders to stop, pepper spray was used to end the assault. Kelly suffered cuts and bruises but didn't need hospitalization, though the trauma was severe. After the attack, Kelly was placed in solitary for his own protection, while Farmer was transferred out. But Farmer later made shocking claims of his own. In a handwritten motion titled "The Government Made Me Attack a Kelly," he alleged that officials pushed him to do it. He described an argument with a mental health worker who allegedly dared him to go do it then, after which staff followed him and allowed the assault to happen before stepping in. His rage, he wrote, was fueled by frustration over COVID-19 lockdowns caused by protests outside in support of Kelly and by disgust at Kelly's crimes. In that same letter, Farmer referred to Kelly as a file, prison slang for a pedophile, and said his crimes made him an easy target. This fits with the unwritten prison code. Those convicted of child-related crimes are viewed as the lowest of the low, beneath even murderers or gang enforcers. Studies back this up. A 2017 report found that as many as 40% of assaults on such offenders are justified by attackers as justice or protection of society. Many inmates rationalize it because they have children of their own or survived abuse themselves, seeing these crimes as unforgivable betrayals of innocence. Attacking a known child molester often earns an inmate respect and status. On prison forums and in ex-inmate interviews, offenders like Kelly are described as fair game. That reputation puts them in constant danger, from extortion, harassment, and brutal assaults, even when isolated. Protective custody offers only limited safety, and in general population, failure to check in often means getting stabbed or beaten. For someone like Robert Sylvester Kelly, whose crimes involved multiple underage victims, including his illegal marriage to Aaliyah when she was just 15, the risk is extreme. Kelly's fame makes it worse. His celebrity draws attention and resentment, especially since his presence has caused lockdowns and increased security at facilities, inconveniencing everyone else. Many inmates blame him for those disruptions. Combined with the stigma of his crimes, this resentment creates a perfect storm of danger. The 2020 attack wasn't an isolated event. Similar assaults on sex offenders are routine in federal prisons. Gangs like the Aryan Brotherhood, Latin Kings, and Bloods all enforce the anti-child molester code in their own ways, often using it to boost status within the prison hierarchy. But that so-called moral code is riddled with hypocrisy. The Aryan Brotherhood, for instance, often claims to act as protectors of children, yet several of its own members have been convicted of child exploitation and assault. One AB member recently got 60 years for sexually abusing a 14-year-old girl. Another former Aryan Nations leader received 50 years for similar crimes. Even Glenn Stein, the AB member who later refused to kill Kelly, had a long record of violence. These contradictions show that the protecting children narrative is often just a convenient excuse for brutality, not genuine morality.
Look at the facts of where we at now. He's in there for a crime against a woman. A lot of times, crimes against kids, crimes against women, they'll you up.
That's a fact.
That's facts.
That is true.
Kelly's family has continued to defend his innocence throughout all the trials and controversies. His uncle, Gregory Preston, spoke to reporters after one of Kelly's sentencings, saying he still believed his nephew was being unfairly treated despite the mountain of evidence.
Because like I said, he's innocent. I mean, they lied. People lied on him. So that's as far as I'm trying to take it. You know, I mean, it's so obvious.
And because of the fact that we have been around some of the people at the same time, where they say that they were afraid or they were being charges that they felt, and no fooding, no eating, that is not true.
Even Kelly's estranged brother, Bruce, who had legal issues of his own, expressed deep conflict over the situation, saying, "This hurts my soul. I don't believe these charges are true. I don't believe these women are being truthful." For inmates like Kelly, the psychological warfare inside prison can be crushing. Constant fear, isolation, and the knowledge that any day could bring violence. The stress of protective custody adds to the mental toll. As of now, R. Kelly remains imprisoned at FCI Butner, with no major updates since the shocking events of June 2025. The silence speaks volumes. Either the allegations were buried as his lawyers predicted, or they truly were the elaborate fabrications prosecutors claimed. Click one of the cards on your screen to see more stories like this.